Great moments in Democrat history. The Communist Rich Club. Once upon a time, being a communist meant living in a basement apartment, eating government cheese and chain-smoking cheap cigarettes while ranting about the bourgeoisie. It meant poverty, misery, and resentment. But today, in the Democrat Party, being a communist makes you rich. Really rich. And it didn't start with Bernie Sanders. No, go back to the 1930s, when American commie stooges made pilgrimages to the Soviet Union. They toured Stalin's Potemkin villages, the fake farms, fake factories, fake happy workers all staged for gullible foreigners. These useful idiots came home and wrote glowing reports in American newspapers about the workers' paradise. Meanwhile, Stalin was starving millions of Ukrainians to death for the crime of wanting to keep their own farms. That's the root of Democrat socialism in America. Polished lies covering mountains of corpses. Fast forward, and now we've got the modern crop of champagne communists. Let's start with Bernie Sanders, the granddaddy of modern American socialism. For decades, Bernie's been preaching "eat the rich," but somehow he's managed to become one of them. The man owns not one, not two, but 3 houses. He rails against capitalism while enjoying the fruits of it. His campaign donations go to his wife, his family, his friends, because in communism everyone's equal, but some are more equal than others. Bernie's the only socialist who believes in wealth redistribution, so long as it redistributes into his checking account. Next, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the bartender turned socialist superstar. Remember when she said she couldn't afford rent in DC? Now she's doing makeup tutorials on Instagram, live in luxury apartments, posing at the Met Gala in a designer dress that screamed, "Tax the rich," all while hanging out with the rich. She's got brand deals, book deals, speaking tours. For a people's revolutionary, she's sure living like a celebrity. AOC says she's fighting for the working class, but her idea of workers is the guy bringing her wine glass at the fundraiser. Then there's Ilhan Omar. She came into office railing against American imperialism and somehow managed to turn politics into her personal ATM. Her campaign has shoveled hundreds of thousands of dollars into her husband's consulting firm. Nothing says solidarity with the workers like funneling donor cash straight into your own pocket. That's not socialism. That's good old-fashioned grift. Omar hates capitalism so much she married her own accountant. And we can't forget Rashida Tlaib. She's always ready to scream, "From the river to the sea," into a bullhorn while simultaneously cashing her congressional salary. She lives like the elites she pretends to fight, all while pushing policies that would make sure her voters stay poor and dependent. Because if you're free and prosperous, you don't need Rashida. But if you're broke and desperate, she's your savior. That's the hustle. Rashida's the only revolutionary who wants her people permanently stuck on welfare. Otherwise, who's left to clap when she shouts into the megaphone? And then there's Jamal Bowman, the guy who pulled a fire alarm in Congress to stop a vote, then claimed he didn't know what it would do. That's the level of genius we're dealing with. Yet he's another socialist darling, living comfortably off the taxpayer dime, making 6 figures while lecturing America about inequality. Only in the Democrat Party can you pull a fire alarm like a middle school prankster and still get invited to the teacher's lounge. This is the Democrat strategy. Push communism, get rich. Pandering to starry-eyed college kids and bitter activists has become a business model. They call themselves democratic socialists, but what they really are is capitalists of the grievance industry. And let's not forget, their cheerleaders in the media never call them what they are, communists. They get fancy labels like progressive or democratic socialist, but strip away the branding, and it's the same tired Marxist garbage that wrecked every nation dumb enough to try it. Here's the pattern. They start out broke, promising to fight for the little guy. They win office by screaming about injustice. They get book deals, speaking gigs, and campaign donations. Then suddenly, they're rich. They don't build businesses, they don't create jobs, they don't innovate. They leech off the taxpayer, wrap it in a red flag, and call it justice. Great moments in Democrat history. When being a communist went from sleeping on a cot to owning multiple mansions, from passing out flyers to flying first class, from chanting in the streets to cashing six-figure paychecks. And here's the kicker. Their voters keep falling for it. The very people who can't afford gas, groceries, or rent keep electing these champagne communists because they believe the fairy tale that socialism will finally work, this time. Meanwhile, Bernie, AOC, Omar, Tlaib, and the rest of the crew are laughing all the way to the bank. So yes, comrades, welcome to the new Democrat Party, where the hammer and sickle are just logos on the credit card.